before even coming to you, I knew that we need email because we had zero setup. And since I was working with you, I knew that we had the marketing skills, we had the design skills, and overall email knowledge to do email for us. I think it was a no-brainer.
E-com emails is that the problem is managing it all. So having a good email strategist, having good email copy and an email design and managing it all under one umbrella, that's when it makes sense to hire an agency instead of an email specialist. So sometimes you can, on paper, you'd think you'd save some, money or time on hiring separate specialists. But in reality, training and finding designers, especially for emails, and then training copywriters and then managing it all under one umbrella, that's the issue. So we had this issue with the agency as well, just how do we find the right talent? And I feel like the team that you have at Thrivelia is pretty good. Like you guys make awesome designs, you write good copy, and then Traian, I think you're a great manager and leader in managing it all, and then just keeping clear communication between the client and myself. And I would even say in some aspects, I think in a lot of aspects, you're a lot better than the agency that I built for email that I helped build. I feel like you guys are crushing it especially in terms of client communication and the way you guys keep communication channels and the reporting and how everything is structured and it's all clean. And me as an e-com founder, there's a lot of areas that I need to focus on. And with Thrivelia, I realized that email is not even a question that I need to think about because Traian is handling it all perfectly. So
I think a simple thing is I work with you, so I would know what I'm getting. I only worked with two really good email marketers in my e-commerce career, and one of them was the partner of Chris, and the other is Traian. So for me, it was pretty easy because I knew how you would work. Like I could trust you in terms of delivery and communication and execution. It just was, like you said, pretty easy.
And I feel like Alex also has some experience working with other email marketers. And because we do have some experience with full service e-commerce, we have some experience in knowing whether an email marketer is doing great work in terms of email. And I feel like it's not only about doing great work in terms of email, but it's also about what's the communication channel? Are we all aligned on what we need to do? Is the team managed well? Are campaigns going on the right schedules? Are there any issues in the emails? Because once you send an email, you can't send it back. So just like the management part is also pretty important.
Yeah. I think it's also what I noticed, I think in general, what separates like good specialists in any e-commerce, let's say, department is like you feel like you work with a person inside the business. You don't feel like you're a person managing just emails. You give business ideas, on products and funnels we could use or test, which direction we could take, which I think is, what separates good specialists, people who care, go extra.
The thing is, I think that's how we've approached it from day one marketing, because if you are doing the strategy bit, you are expecting to sort of understand the whole business. Like you can't just do email strategy. Email is one of the channels, but you need to understand the funnel and where people are coming from and why they're essentially not buying. Like what are the remaining objections that they're not saying? And a lot of people, especially on the email side, think it's price, but there's so many more elements in terms of with gut feel, with problems, with how they're verbalizing them on Reddit and Quora or like on chats, and turning that into benefits and also like feeding it into the product. So whenever I saw that, I felt, hey, maybe like this is something that we're not doing there. We're missing it because I'm on the retention side and everything that comes to me is actually objections not handled earlier. And with all the rest of the feedback, anything that we are getting from like serving the current customers because they're feeding the business. And I think that has been a huge upside. And I don't know how many of the other people do it. It's just been my approach. But, like with Chris, like, for example, we've jumped on a few calls saying, hey, maybe we need to add these few elements to the brand. Like, for example, I'm seeing this with other sort of like businesses. And I know that if this is a problem, this is already, a solution that we can propose. For example, like the community aspect is something that we're going to be working towards. And also some of the social reviews, because people typically would go for the more negative reviews. But if they're incentivized for like the positive ones, they'll also leave the positive ones. So just managing that reputation, managing that community are all aspects that filling that whole retention bubble, which is, a lot of, it's like a romantic relationship in a way. Like I keep on comparing the two because you need to continuously feed into the relationship small gestures, which could be, a product, more content, more information. But every relationship is very similar in a way. Like you just keep on giving without expecting anything in return. I mean, as a business, maybe here and there, like you would actually have to ask, but because of the Children's principle of reciprocity, I feel like it's just like if you're serving the, like to quote Ezra, serve the world unselfishly and profit. Like you do the first bit and the second one almost comes because people feel like more natural with you. They feel like you understand them and you get into their world instead of dragging them into yours, which is the most important bit. So you're showing the interest in what they're doing. And that's been my whole holistic approach as well to business and to like everyone that we work with. Did you have any expectations that you set and we changed them? The last maybe 3 months of us working together, what would you say like expectations to reality ratio has been?
See, on top, tip top is, I work with you so many times that I know what I'm getting, and it was everything that I wanted to get, if that makes sense, So it was just, expectations were definitely matched.
I feel like whenever you hire a contractor, an agency or whatever, you always think about whether the price to cost and revenue ratio makes sense. So for us, I feel like you guys been profitable. So the expectation was always like, are these guys going to make us money? You guys delivered on the promise. And I feel like that's all that really matters when you look at it logically. But then there are other aspects of value, which I feel like sometimes are even more important. And just like Alex said, can we rely on you? Do we trust your communication? Do we know that you guys will deliver? And I feel like especially now, it's harder and harder to find specialists that you can really trust and rely on in this area of the business, because then you can focus on different aspects. So I feel like that's one value that's very important, because sometimes results vary and change based on market conditions, market circumstances and everything, but it's just putting in the right shot and doing it consistently and doing it on time. I feel like that's what really matters. And I feel like you guys deliver on that very well.
Was there something unexpected?
I feel like you're doing everything very well in terms of client communication, and even sometimes even like maybe too crazy for like, I'm a bad, I don't reply that much. I just read and I'm a bad communicator. So that's good from my end. I feel like I could be better on the communication side because I don't respond as quickly. I feel like Alex is the same sort of sometimes as me. So I feel like we could do a better job from our end responding to all of your Slack messages and all your reports and everything. We just leave you free and leave you be. But for a lot of clients, I feel like that could be, the way you guys work would be super valuable.
How did that make you feel, by the way? Like just that partnership as a whole, just from the whole emotional journey of, I don't know these guys, to I know him now, to, okay, they're taking over this. Okay, now they're doing all of this extra. So I'm not thinking about it. Like, how did that make you feel as a business owner? And also Alex, you as a head of strategy?
If I could put it into like an emotion, it would be like, whew, okay.
Yeah, really
like, cool.
Safeness.
Cool.
That's good to put it. Yeah. I would say relief. It's just like, you let a person manage that part and you know that it's going to make money and it's, perform well. You don't have to put too much thought into it.
Yeah.
And
I'll be completely honest. It depends on which stage they're at, because I don't think all of the brands need email, especially if they're early, Let's say if you're, let's say, six-figure a month brand, then I think and you're doing around 20 of email revenue from Thrivelia, you're not sending many campaigns. I think it's a no-brainer to take up a service that is going to send more campaigns, fix your flow strategy, get more people to sign up in your email list, and just make you more money. If you feel like you're not utilizing emails, I think Trine is one of the best options to utilize them better.
Thanks. Yeah, I would agree. I feel like, especially if it depends, if you understand that you need email and your product is solely based on, not solely, but it has a pretty big retention element. Now, if your product is big on retention and on maintaining customers, I feel like that's pretty much a no-brainer. And you could build out the process yourself. You could find email designers, you could find email specialists, you can hire it all in-house, do it all in-house. But I don't feel like that's going to be the biggest lever and the biggest needle mover in your business. I feel like the biggest needle movers are focusing on the product, crafting the offer, and then just big picture marketing stuff and hiring the right people in certain key areas. And I feel like in terms of email, that's just one part which has a lot of complexity, especially when you get to higher stages. An email specialist who's going to be like at 50% or 60% or maybe 70% the level that Tryon is. But because in emails there's so much complexity, it just makes a lot more sense to hire an email specialist like him, where he manages it all in-house. Because there's email strategy, there's flows, there's campaigns, there's flow strategy, there's headlines, there's subject lines, there's a lot of complexities. Then there's designs, and there's copy, and managing it all together in one system where you get emails consistently. That's a big issue. So if you're an e-com owner, I would just go with Tryon if you're going to afford him, because it just makes more sense. So you can focus on other aspects of the business.
Appreciate that, Chris. Right. Thanks both for your time. Like, it was a huge pleasure. Appreciate the kind words and everything. I'll see you on the next monthly or weekly call.
Yeah. Thanks.